Welcome to episode 25 of the Endless Stream podcast. I am Aidan, and as usual I'm joined by Brian and Kevin. We are three artists, illustrators, filmmakers and all-round shit talkers. Each week we take some of the endless stream of content brought to you through Netflix, Amazon, Disney+, Hulu, YouTube, Spotify. Wherever you get your content, we're going to take a chunk of it and we're going to talk about it. Given the nature of these conversations, they are very spoiler heavy, so bear that in mind. If you haven't watched what we're talking about, maybe jump off, give them a watch, and come back and join us on the podcast. This week we are watching What If Episode 4, we're talking the trailers of the week, we're talking about VH1's Daisy of Love, and we also get into Shang Chi and the Ten Rings. Also this week, we are announcing the winner of our commission giveaway competition. We have reached 150 followers over on Instagram, so we'll throw everybody's name into a hat, pick a random winner, and then let them know that they've won the prize. Thank you to everybody who gave us a follow. Thank you to everybody who's listening. We're going to be doing more giveaways as the Instagram following and the listenership grows, so don't jump off. In fact, tell more people about it. The more people that follow, the more people that listen, the sooner we're going to be doing more of these art giveaways. If you like what you hear, please consider subscribing to the podcast. If you use iTunes, please rate and review over there. Anything we can do to help spread the word of the Endless Stream, that would be great and much appreciated. Our Instagram is @TheEndlessCast, so if you want to see some of the illustration work that we do to go along with these episodes, or hear some clips, or even just send us a comment, send us a DM, you can reach us over there @TheEndlessCast. Or if you want to send us an email, same thing, if you want to suggest something for us to watch or otherwise, the email address is theendlesscast@gmail.com. All of that being said, let's get into the episode.
Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Endless Stream, where I'm joined by Aidan O'Sullivan and co-host Brian O'Sullivan.
Can we get a second take of that, please?
Can you give us mid-level YouTube star energy, please?
It's your boy Kev. Hit like and subscribe down below. I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes telling you about shit you don't want to hear about, but if you skip to the end, you'll find out how to get to that treasure box in Zelda or Ocarina of Time.
Can you say, let's get into it?
Let's get into it. The Endless Stream.
So this week on the podcast, we're going to talk about What If. We're going to talk about Shang-Chi. We've got a competition announcement. Thank you very much to everybody who entered, who followed and liked us on Instagram, and who spread the word of the Endless Stream.
I was talking to my Maja during the week, my mom, and I just happened to mention something about the podcast, and she was like, "Oh, you have a podcast?" And I was like, "Yep." And she was asking me what it is.
You only told her now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, most people don't know I have a podcast, and I post about it all the time. And then people respond like, "Oh, this is your podcast," and it's just like, "Yep."
That's on you.
As the person in the group with a following, please tell people.
I'm always telling people, but I was gonna say, yeah, I was talking to my mum. I don't know if my mum really is going to listen, to be honest. But I was telling my mum.
Does she know I'm on it?
She does. She knows you're both on it.
Why wouldn't she listen?
Well, she told me she wouldn't.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
that hurts.
She said my dad won't. He's a busy man. But I did have to. She did.
Great to listen to while you're busy.
Well, I was gonna say my mother followed our Instagram page the other day.
Are we still on this?
Excuse me, Brian. But I did have to kind of tell her that, some of it, maybe don't listen to it. Maybe listen to it, whatever. But I did have to tell her I took a poo in the woods.
Why would you be okay? Why would you be okay with Why would you be okay with knowing that once it's online, it's out there for everybody, but not having told your mum about it yet?
Is a concern. It's not really. It's just warning her that that's the kind of stuff that will be discussed on the podcast. Also, she's kind of wary of the internet and what's put out there, which she's right to. She's not an internet user. Although she did follow us on Instagram, she's not even on Instagram. She doesn't use it.
Yeah, no, I think there is the kind of thing where you'll do whatever and put it out into the world, but if you tell a parent, they feel some sort of obligation to go and listen to it, and you're like, I don't necessarily want you to sit through this. This isn't for you. You are not the designated audience. You do not care about the intricacies of Robert Downey Jr.'s costume fitting.
Must be rough for porn stars.
I remember reading a while back that every time Trent Reznor released a new album, he'd give a copy to his parents, and he kind of always had to preface it by saying I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Here's the latest album, but I'm fine. Don't worry. I don't know if you've listened to the Downward
Yes.
Spiral, but yeah, like there's a song on that called Big Man with a Gun, and I can not in a million years imagine writing it and then giving it to my folks and having them listen to it.
And you got to imagine as well, or I always think it's funny as well, that like that's Trent Reznor. That's a successful individual with global recognition for doing this. But there are just random Joe Bloggses putting out random stuff just like that, you know, and it's like without the critical validation that makes this something artistic.
Yeah, like
and
but by the
worth looking at. You're just a
by the
lunatic.
time he released the Downward Spiral, he was Grammy winner Trent Reznor. So you know that's okay.
Yeah.
But another person writing the same thing would be like, "You need to be committed. Like this is not art. You're unwell."
I love the fact though he has to kind of preface it to his parents, almost like kind of just like, I'm fine. This is just what people like or people want from me. I just do it. I facilitate a want. You know, I'm fine.
The funny thing is though, like he wasn't fine at all. It's the other side of it, you know. Just in denial for many years.
Anytime there's a moment like that, I just hear, you know, Arrested Development, the voiceover guy. I'm fine.
He wasn't. I listened to he produced Halsey's new album, actually came out last week.
Who's?
Halsey?
I don't know how to, but I know one song that she's on, and it's featuring her, so I don't know. I've always just pronounced it.
Okay, I think it's Halsey.
I'm going to say Halsey because it makes more sense. There, I've said it.
And you've been recognised as a genius.
Hey, look, I spotted that her name was an anagram of Ashley, like right away. That's just the kind of laser intellect we're talking about here. Just like, yeah, I just like got it right away. Anyway, all I knew was that track she did with Chainsmokers, I think. And even then I didn't even know that was Chainsmokers until much later. I actually think I only listened to it because it was called Closer. I was like, I wonder, is that a Nine Inch Nails cover? And it was not. Ron Howard voice. But
Are Chainsmokers the people who do Backseat of Your Rover?
yeah, that song is called Closer, I think. And it is not a Nine Inch Nails cover. But anyway, her new album came out last week, and Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor produced it, and they co-wrote some of the songs as well, I believe, and it's really good. Quite liked it.
What's it called?
If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power.
Ooh,
I think is the name of
very
it.
cool.
And they made a music video to accompany each track, so it's like a short
awesome.
film when it's kind of all viewed together.
like The
so you
Weeknd.
can watch that. Sure,
The Weeknd did that recently. Good tracks as well.
a lot of people do it.
No, The Weeknd did it first. I was going to say last week Aiden was complaining about the amount of times I yawned, which was a lot. So I apologize.
You were very
I was
sleepy.
very sleepy, but I was going to say, we to people who want to or who care to know, we record the audio, but we talk on Skype, and I for the last ages have been muting Skype when I yawn or do different things, not realizing that it didn't affect the audio at all. It's just like you weren't hearing it through the Skype call.
Yeah, but last week you weren't muting it on the Skype call either.
No, I was very tired last week.
Yeah, and like I wouldn't want you fucking around trying to pause your recording
No, I'll ruin it.
to allow for yawns or anything. I'm happy enough to just cut that shit out rather than
Me ruin everything.
yeah. Like I'm as likely to ruin everything. Like last week I got 10 minutes from the end of the edit and fucking audition crashed on me, and I had to start from 40 minutes in and do the rest of it. I just
Did the jokes
was
still land?
So tired by the end of it. No. When you're doing the edit like this, you cut out places where we overlap with each other. You tighten up timings a little bit because there's a little bit of Skype lag. Sometimes it's just like, oh, that'll be
Slag.
nicer if I let it land here rather than there.
Skype lag.
Slag.
Slag. Got it. Okay. You slag.
You slag.
So there is a bit of thought and work that goes into every bloody cut, but when you're doing it the second time on Sunday night at 8 o'clock, I'm just like, this worked last time, I'll just whip through. Like, you just, the commitment to the quality remained high and didn't at all slag off. Anyway, Halsey's album, If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power, in association with Trent Reznor. Is that what you said?
And Atticus Ross.
And Atticus Ross. And that's out now. You listen to it. It's good. You like the videos?
I quite liked it. Videos are good. I haven't seen all of the videos yet, but I think there's a playlist for each track, so I've seen some of them. Interesting album. The kind of themes are, childbirth and toxic masculinity. All my faves. It's good. Quite liked it. I remember years ago seeing Aaliyah at the VMAs, and it was the first time Nine Inch Nails were making an appearance in like 5 years, and The Fragile was just about to come out, and on the red carpet they were talking to Aaliyah, and they were like, who are you looking forward to seeing? And she was like, Nine Inch Nails, huge fan. And I was like, what? And they were supposed to work together, and they never did. He was always looking to do a kind of a pop thing with a female vocalist, I believe. So it's cool that some 20 years later, almost. Is it more? It's more. I think that was 99. Good God. Anyway, 20 years later, he's finally got off his arse and made a pop album. Lindsey Buckingham is on it. Dave Grohl is on it.
Oh, I know him.
And pop is always at its most vibrant when put together by men in their late 50s.
Lindsey's got to be older, right?
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? Speaking of which, ABBA are releasing new music.
They are.
They're the Airbenders. That's what ABBA stands
I told you if you were going to say that again, you better fucking explain yourself. Explain yourself.
The Airbenders.
Say more right now.
They are the elements of earth, wind, fire, water.
But why are they the Airbenders if they're 4 elements?
Okay. So, what Kevin is saying, I assume, is that ABBA have historically...
Did you blow your nose with a rag? Like a... What was that?
I don't know what it is. It's like a handkerchief.
I think that's a ShamWow.
Who knows?
That is not a handkerchief.
But it is now until I wash it.
Explain yourself right now.
There was nothing close, and it was close. It was clean and close beside me. I use it to clean my glasses.
Is that a sock? Did you just blow your
It's
nose
a sock
into a sock?
next, right?
No, it's not a sock.
Have you
It's a
ever?
ShamWow.
Have you ever blown your nose with a sock? I bet you have.
Oh yeah, I probably have. Yeah. I don't really get mucusy. It's just kind of when I do this podcast for some reason.
There you go, guys. This podcast brings out the mucus in you.
Brought to you by Mucus.
If you're feeling a lack of mucus, put us on for all your mucus needs.
I was watching a TV show, and a lady was it's alone, and the premise of it is basically 10 people go out in the wilderness, and it's like who can survive the longest alone. And she was getting so desperate for food, she was just eating her burgers, and she said they were getting less salty, I think.
Well, I mean, your body tells you what you need, so I'm sure she needed it.
Boogers.
Mm-hmm. You lost me.
So, I'm
ABBA.
assuming because Kevin brought this up to some degree.
We were talking about ABBA, but we're on to snot.
Have ABBA historically represented themselves as 4 characters, as, hey, we're the elements where we all come together to make a great thing? Or are you just making that shit up?
I have no idea.
So where did they get the fucking 4 elements iconography associated?
Yeah, why do you
with
keep
this?
calling them the Airbenders if there's 4 elements?
Are you just connecting ABBA with ABBA?
Fire, air, water, air, earth, air, wind, air.
hate you
They're
so
the Airbenders. They're the Airbenders. I don't see why you're struggling with this. That's why they've been away for so long. They've been studying bending.
I fucking hate you so much. So much.
Yeah. That's okay.
So after
I
40
don't.
years, ABBA are releasing new music. My brother played ABBA to death. At one point, he got one tape and played it on a loop for fucking 6 months, so I hate the sound of it. But I can appreciate
Could have been worse.
that they are well put
My
together.
brother did Westlife.
Songs and people love them.
They look great. They look great.
They're computer generated.
Are they? They're not real people anymore.
They are doing some sort of virtual concert thing with motion capture.
I did think they looked younger than the last time I'd seen them.
Have you seen this footage?
I was just the photos. I was like, they look remarkable.
They look better than the Bee Gees.
in the sort of quasi-Tron thing?
They did. Yeah.
Yeah, so they've done a full like motion captured gig where they're CGing young.
So they haven't even really got back together. That's genius on their part.
Yeah, like they're back together in the sense that they've written, recorded new music, and they've done this performance and motion captured it. But the genius part is they've basically animated the gig and they can play it wherever.
Deep fake. They've done nothing but send each other music snippets remotely. They've done nothing.
Like the 70s are kind of coming back. I see lots of people on the gram kind of with 70s hairstyles, and bell bottoms are definitely a thing. And like lots of people
They never
like,
went
even
away.
younger than me are all really psyched for like a new ABBA album. But like I didn't like ABBA. I have my reasons, but no, I never liked ABBA.
Please go into your reasons.
No, I can't. It's personal. My dad did cook for them once,
really?
though, which is, yeah, nothing to do with my negative feelings towards ABBA. But my dad did cook for them once, yes, when he was much younger. Yeah.
Any juicy gossip
My dad has lots of juicy
about
gossip
ABBA?
over the years. I don't know. I'd have to ask him.
Okay.
He was working in a very fancy hotel where all the celebrities used to come to. So lots of stories. But yes, he cooked for ABBA once.
What happens in the kitchen stays in the kitchen.
Unless it's a meal. At which point it has to go out of the kitchen.
A meal.
A meal,
Not
a meal.
I thought Emil was some loose-lipped chef who talked a lot. Loose-lipped sink
lips.
ships. Unless you're a water airbender, then you can fly in the water.
Drop this joke. Drop this bit right now.
Would you go and see a gig that you knew was just like a video of a...
Maybe if it was like craft work, because it fits their whole thing.
Yeah. I love fireworks, so why wouldn't I?
How
go to a
many
fireworks
years
show.
away are we from like a big headline event with Bowie and Prince and Tupac and Aaliyah and whoever, all deep fakes projected on stage?
Yeah, I don't like it one bit.
I would say not entirely super far away.
Do you remember in Blade Runner 2049 when Gosling and Ford are having that fight in the showroom, and there's the full Elvis show going on stage and the hologram thing? That'd be cool.
I mean, I don't have an issue with it as such. Like, why not? It's like literally entertainment. Like, kind of, is it any worse than like say if they're just on stage and they're singing their old songs and stuff, and you're not making them being weird. Like, it's just basically just you feed all of their performances that are recorded into like an AI, and they just have like, hey, Dublin, thanks very much, all that kind of BS. But like nothing too personal, nothing too like that crosses the line. But like, why wouldn't you? Sure, it's just like watching a DVD.
I think
of it.
the thing for
But,
me,
like, a spectacle.
the thing for me with it would have to be priced accordingly. I don't want to be paid as if I'm going to see a live
that's
gig.
the thing.
If I'm seeing a DVD, I'd watch at home.
I think what you're talking about, Kev, like I'd be okay with it in the sense if it's existing footage that they've upscaled and did a few things. I don't want any shout outs to like What City and stuff. If it's a way to enhance the viewing of existing material, cool. But if it's like, hey, they're dead, but let's fucking have them up on stage like a marionette, then
I don't want crowd participation or anything. Like, I
don't want them grafted onto another person's, performance capture with a deep fake of their head. That's ghoulish. Let's not do that.
I don't want kind of like new material from these people either. Post-mortem.
Yeah.
Even though Tupac has released more music post-mortem than
I find that very unappealing. Like the idea that like
unappealing.
I don't like releasing shit that I didn't think was good enough to release after my death. Do you know what I mean? Like this was sketch shit that I had no intention of putting in public, and you're putting it out, and all you're kind of doing is diluting. But there is a degree of sort of maintaining legacy, actually maintaining the person.
I don't think it's maintaining a legacy though, because the people making the most money anytime something like that's going on is a label.
The label, yeah.
Yeah, it's not about preserving a legacy. It's about, mining a resource for squeezing more cash out of it. Whatever.
I think it's sad, poor Tupac, because
when you think about entertainers from like the 1920s and 30s and stuff that like might have been absolutely enormous, that aren't as well served as sort of contemporary. Like there's nobody pushing their concept anymore, and you just very quickly get forgotten about, even though you were huge at one point. That's
life, isn't it?
Funny.
Existential crisis. We interrupt this program to introduce an existential crisis.
I do want to point out, as a segue to the next topic, or as a summation or a final thought on this musical section of the Endless Stream, Brian, because of the way that conversation went, this week's cover art can be Trent Reznor, Aaliyah, Prince, David Bowie. You have a wide range of your favourites to put to Procreate.
I'm not drawing all of that.
You have a wide range of your favourites to put to Procreate, so pick...
Can I just submit an old unfinished Bowie painting I did?
You can submit Bowie, you could submit Prince.
Okay.
You've got...
Well, yeah, there's a lot.
Like I said, we have wandered into your field. Please pick from this one of your artistic potatoes. And
yes.
Did you lure us into your field?
No.
He is an expert manipulator.
So this week, trailers. We didn't watch a lot of stuff back and forth. I did send you the trailer for Red Notice, which is The Rock, Gal Gadot, and Ryan Reynolds.
For Netflix as well.
Did we see a villain in that?
Yes, it's all of them.
Okay.
They're all the villains.
What did you make of that? What did you make of that trailer? That's another sort of Netflix action movie that looks all shiny and polished and has some very nice looking cars, and I think
that's
will be
why I didn't watch
forgettable.
Like the whole thing with stuff like that Red Notice thing is just like you watch that trailer. Like if you go to that thing and you're disappointed, it's like what were you expecting?
You know what better I mean? Film.
No, it's exactly what it is. It's fine. I'm sure if I'll watch it, it's fine. I'm probably going to enjoy it. I get a few laughs, few actiony bits and pieces. I don't care how fake or stuntably it is. Like it's just like it's a no-brainer, like popcorn movie. I might not watch it, but we'll see.
You did watch the trailer?
Yes.
No, I tried to watch the Michael Bay Reynolds film, and I bailed out after 10 minutes.
What's the Michael Bay Reynolds movie?
Something six
Underground.
Six.
Oh yeah.
It's
God, I'm gonna start watching his entire back catalog.
So I didn't watch this because it seems to be another Reynolds Netflix movie. So no, I didn't watch the trailer, but not intentionally. It was just more in my mind. It's like it's probably the same as that Bay flick, so I'm not going to watch it. I'm not a fan of Gadot or The Rock, so they suck.
I broadly am. Like I like them. I think they're charismatic and
they
funny
aren't.
things,
Don't get me started on The Rock. I will go.
Please get started on The Rock.
And I hate
I know.
afterwards.
Here.
He's
no,
awful.
Stop.
He
No,
sucks.
just let. He's not
He
awful.
is just
let some people be happy.
charisma. It's just so forced and projected. I don't buy a lick of it. He's just a big white teeth, big voice. It's an impression of a person with charisma, and I hate it. I don't like him.
Where's the line between charisma and, like, I mean, Tom Cruise is just big
Tom
noise and white teeth,
Cruise
isn't he?
kept the movie industry alive for 15 odd years. There's nothing fake about that charisma. That was very real for the time. He made a gay vampire movie, and people liked it and went to see it.
I like The Rock.
Can you see The Rock doing a gay vampire movie? No.
Yes.
Kev, get real. Come on. The Rock sucks.
What was Southland Tales about?
What was Southland Tales about?
That
What
was
was it
I
about?
didn't see it. I was trying to point at something that was vaguely alt for The Rock, but I didn't see it.
He played a gay stylist or tailor, I think, in Get Shorty.
So? I'm not saying he
he's-
can't play gay. I'm saying he couldn't sell or draw a crowd if he was to make a gay vampire movie.
He definitely would. I'd watch it.
Yeah, I completely would.
Yeah, I think he's great.
Yeah, he sucks.
And like, there was a lot at work in that vampire movie
There was.
beyond just Cruise.
There was. But
That's the
at
one
the
with
end of the day, it
Kirsten
was
Dunst and
a
Brad
gay
Pitt.
vampire movie.
It had Kirsten Dunst,
And
it
it
had
was-
Brad Pitt, it had Thandie Newton, it had Antonio Banderas, it had Christian Slater.
Oh, I like all those people.
I mean, Tom Cruise barely registers in that film.
I can see your grinning face when you try bait me with stuff like this. He's the whole movie, and you know it.
I'd like a remake of that with The Rock.
I mean, I would too, because I'm
I mean,
curious
they're
now.
making a TV series, that's coming.
Yeah, the Rock and Ryan Reynolds. And instead of Kirsten Dunst, Gal Gadot.
I might watch that just to see The Rock in a Lestat wig.
there are a number of Netflix films where they're trying to make big action stuff, and there is something that's just too shiny about it. If every car is shiny, polished, and brand new, it makes your movie look fake.
I think that's a type of Hollywood.
Oh, it is.
That was really kind of like probably birthed in the early 2000s, and it's
It
completely
was
fine for
called
me.
The Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
And Swordfish. Swordfish is a great movie. Remember Swordfish?
You mean Operation Swordfish?
I don't think that
No.
Swordfish is a great movie. I do remember going to see Swordfish. I remember sneaking in to see Swordfish because I was just in the cinema with one ticket I bought at 10 a.m. and just wandering from screen to
Teeth.
screen, and I didn't know what I was walking into.
That's
And I
illegal.
sat down and I saw the scene with Travolta and Jackman, and I was completely surprised when the fucking lights came up, the camera pulled back, and we saw all the police around them with the guns. And like that opening sequence completely worked magic on my teenage brain, and I loved it. And I watched that movie a lot. I know if I go back and watch that, that is a steaming pile of dog shit
Totally
film.
forgot that was Hugh Jackman. Yeah, great movie.
I watched Spencer Confidential. That's in the same sort of vein of like Netflix
Garbage.
making action movies that are like
Extraction.
competently made films. Yeah, just
Attraction's great.
garbage.
Remember Extraction?
Good.
With the directed by the Russo brothers and featuring David Harbour and Chris Hemsworth.
Not directed by the Russo brothers.
Wasn't it directed by the Russo brothers?
No, directed by that stunt guy. And you can't argue that the stunts aren't good. I just didn't care for the film.
We should talk about that next week.
As an anniversary of our first episode. Was that the first episode?
Never aired. One of them.
It was pretty early on. It's a dog shit film.
It's not dog
start
shit.
the fucking
Not
start.
dog shit.
Terrible. Fucking
Anyway, The Rock sucks.
The next time I don't want to do this podcast, I should just talk about that and then leave you to it.
Everybody watched it because it was a pandemic. No, we tried that before and it put the podcast on hold for 6 months. Let's not do that again.
No, it didn't.
No, it didn't. Shit happened. But I was working towards something here.
Gadot,
The
Reynolds,
Rock.
The Rock.
Gadot.
Yeah.
Flashy movies, looking too
What?
clean.
Just out of curiosity, what jurisdiction does the FBI have in jewel thievery around the world?
You just said that. All the jurisdiction around the world.
Does the Federal Bureau of Investigation have any jurisdiction outside the Federated United
No.
States?
They don't.
No, and I don't even think they have.
They
like,
probably have joint operations with Interpol. Or whatever
Yeah,
they're
that's-
called these
okay.
days.
So there's probably some logistical jib-jab they can point out that would explain why an FBI agent would be chasing
Yeah,
a jewel
they,
thief.
they'll write.
If
they'll
they're
explain
American.
it in 3 lines.
Yeah. If they're American or something and they stole the Declaration of Independence.
That's a movie I'd watch.
Oh boy, let me tell you. National Treasure, Nicolas Cage. You're gonna love it. It's a good movie, actually.
I do love that movie.
It is a good movie.
Great film.
It's a great film.
Great film. I'm not mad on the second film. Too much void.
Yeah, but
I don't understand, and again, it's harder to have these conversations when Brian hasn't watched some of this garbage, because I really wanted to weigh in. But
I can
the
weigh in.
Hobbs and Shaw film.
Of course,
the
I
Hobbs
can
and
weigh in.
Shaw
I don't
film.
need to see it to know.
You're looking pretty swole, Brian.
I have no idea what's going on. That's a camera
up.
trick, whatever
Hobbs.
that is.
The Hobbs and Shaw film that we spoke about on a previous episode of this podcast had a weird dynamic between Ryan Reynolds as a kind of CIA handler character and his relationship with The Rock's character.
Didn't know they were together
And-
in that movie.
The whole sort of dynamic is like that Reynolds keeps kind of insisting that they've worked together in the past and that they're great partners, and you know, he and The Rock are best of friends, and it's this sort of like he's forcing a friendship onto The Rock's character, and The Rock is resistant, but they kind of do work together, and like he is just his voice on a phone or a guy you meet at a table, and it kind of ends with a post-credit fight scene where Ryan Reynolds is clearly getting into shit, and it's really setting up sequel territory for Ryan Reynolds and The Rock, building this buddy cop thing. But it was weird because I don't know where they did that before. So are they just alluding to stuff that never ever happened on film? And
I think you're
we're just
really
trying to force a
overthinking.
relationship. And then by the time we're in Red Notice, like, are they just trying to build on what they did in Hobbs and Shaw with 2 different characters, or are they the same characters using aliases? Is this all part of one extended Furious?
I would say
Fast and
not.
Furious?
If it's a Netflix movie, then no, because Universal own those rights. So I would say no. That's my guess.
A Vin
There's
Diesel
me
verse, if you will.
weighing in.
Okay. So this is just
This
me
is you
overthinking.
overthinking it. It's a Netflix movie where they said, "Hey, let's capitalize on that, banter we had in the other thing, but let's do it over here for Netflix."
And how does The Rock's character from Jungle Cruise factor into his character in Red Notice?
He's immortal, so that's it.
Yeah, I kind of got... he's a conquistador?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how.
I didn't know that from any of the trailers, but
Sorry. I'll say nothing until she stops.
fucking Marla is a big Rock fan. And I guess my last point, Kevin having watched the trailer and Brian not, did you think Gal Gadot's
She's not a good
performance was pretty good?
I think on par with the other guys. Like I yeah.
I think what I was expecting was standard Gal Gadot, and I feel like she's been working with a voice coach during the
probably.
pandemic, and I was very surprised by her performance.
Like, who's the best actor of the three? Like, realistically, like, Rock's not an actor. Probably Gal Gadot is probably the best, or
She's not an actor.
Reynolds.
I'd give it to Reynolds.
Maybe Reynolds, because he actually kind of has a more of an acting background in a sense. But like, they're same. They're all the same. She probably sounds a little bit
I was
clearer.
just surprised, and I'm curious to see if it was like, is that some ADR they did for the trailer, or is that her performance through the whole film? Because the sort of standard Gadot accent that I came to expect wasn't there, and the sort of bantery delivery was much sharper from her. It didn't feel like banter forced through an accent with odd intonation. You know what I mean? Because we've seen that from her in the past. That, like, I know she gets the joke, and I know she's delivering the joke, but just with the accent, it's just not quite hitting. Does that make sense?
I've
And
not thought about it.
I just was expecting the lines that she delivered in the trailer to land like the usual lead balloons that they do, and she actually carried them off. So I'm curious to see if that's the whole movie, or just they pumped that shit up for the trailer.
It's probably for the trailer.
I really do like these actors and these films.
These films.
Yeah.
These
Let's move
films.
Type
What?
of films. Type of films.
Films, yeah, like just crap action movies.
But you don't like
They're fun.
Extraction. Explain yourself.
Extraction is a shit film.
But you just said you like shit action films. You
But it's
literally
not a
just
fun
said I like
shit action film. It's just a shit action film.
I don't know. You're kind of contradicting yourself.
It's just a lot of noise with no heart.
That's what you like. Noise with no heart.
Brian
why
sent
we're
us the Wheel of
friends.
Time. Brian sent us the Wheel of Time trailer.
No, I
and told us
didn't.
that he could probably write one.
Oh,
of
yes,
these
I did.
things.
I sent it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking ungrateful. Fuck
Yeah.
yeah. Do you want to hear the
Put
funny
some
thing?
respect
Didn't
on his
watch it.
name.
Kev sent us the Wheel of Time
Wasn't
trailer.
me.
Yeah, because
And
my friend.
Brian said that he could write one of these things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Wheel of Time, Brian, because I have never seen and or read it. You've read 6 of the books.
6 or 7. I'm gonna make so many people so angry. They're fine. Like they're fine.
What's the premise?
Chosen one. Blah blah blah. Literally. I know.
You read
The,
6. There's got to be
you
something
know, like
to it.
I could tell you how it starts. I could tell you where the plot jumps to. It's about a chosen guy in a village. Lady comes to the village looking for a reincarnation of a person at the same time as these dark forces arrive in the village. And
Is this not Dune?
I see it's literally every fantasy story written by a man, yeah, back in the 80s or whenever it was. I think it's 5 youngsters have to leave a village. I think it's 2 girls, 3 lads. One of them might be the reincarnated version of some guy. there's a kind of a force, there's a philosophy. It's basically magic, but men aren't allowed to use it because there's like two sides of it, and the male side of the energy has been tainted by the dark one. So any man who can wield magic basically eventually goes insane. So it's only women who are allowed interact with this energy, the force, basically. And so a lady comes to a village looking for, because they know this guy's going to be reincarnated, and then at the same time the dark forces show up in the village, and they're forced to flee, and they go on this journey, and you know which guy is the reincarnation of the dude, because he's the main character. And yeah, they're fine. Like they're very, very fantasy by the numbers. They're not very deep. There's some nice ideas in there. There's way too many of the books. Way too many.
Who wrote the Wheel of Time?
I think the name he wrote it under is, I think it was Robert Jordan. I don't think that was his real name. If I remember correctly, he's also the guy who created the character of Conan.
Robert E. Howard?
Yeah. Solomon Kane?
No.
Wasn't he dead well before?
No, you're all wrong.
Like, he killed himself.
No.
James Oliver.
No.
Robert E. Howard
No.
created Conan. And
See, I had Brandon Sanderson in my head.
Brandon Sanderson took over the writing of The Wheel of Time because the original writer passed away, but he'd left manuscripts for like where they were supposed to
Robert
go.
Jordan?
Yeah, no, that's why I said Robert Jordan.
James Oliver Rigney.
Are we just saying names now?
Robert Downey Jr.
No.
Hey, no, hold on. He got that one out that time.
I got it right.
He did.
He did, to be fair.
So Barry, you're telling me I'm wrong.
Where's the air horn?
I think I got it right.
It's a very kind of... It's a bit derivative of like other fantasy stuff, particularly
Okay.
Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. It's not bad. Like, I read 7 of them. There's too many of them. There's some nice ideas, but like I said, it's been a while since I read them, but it's not very deep. There's not a lot more to it than it felt like reading an adventure book for Dungeons and Dragons. It's like they go here, they find a thing, they go here, they flee here, this guy shows up. It just like barrels through stuff.
Kevin has
Can I
raised his
ask a
hand.
question?
Go ahead, Kev.
And I'm like no judgment or anything that at all. Like it's a sincere question.
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't overly enthusiastic or enthralled in it, how did you manage to get through 6 books or 7 books?
People had raved about it, and I was like, okay, I'll stick with it. I'll stick with it and see. I was buying the books, like I think I was getting them secondhand in chapters as well. So I was just like, oh, they've got the next one. Pick it up. It was like $3 or something. So yeah, I was bored. And they're not bad. I'm being a bit harsh, but they're not.
Yeah, I get you.
They're not amazing.
Do you think could be a good TV show?
I couldn't like that's what I'm saying. Like there's plenty of your classic stuff. Like there's nice ideas in. Like look, there's nice ideas in there with. I forget the 2 halves of the essentially the force, but like they refer to it as a pattern, and you know, weaving it, and like to wield this magic, you're kind of like you're connecting to the pattern, and like I said, only women are allowed to do it because the male side of it is tainted. There's some nice ideas in there, but
Yeah.
Ursula Le Guin did it 10 or 20 years earlier, and she did it much better. So like,
What was that series?
Earthsea, yeah. So like a lot of the stuff I like in there. Like I said, there's good stuff in there. It could be a good show. It's a bit derivative. It's quite straightforward. The stuff I like in there, like I said, Le Guin did it better. Yeah, so there was nice stuff in there. I like the way they talk about, like I said, the pattern and things like that. I like that kind of. It's borrowing from a lot of different philosophies and stuff. There's an idea that just like kind of meditation techniques that, you know, different people have taught the main character. So like the picturing a flame in a void and things like that for like centering himself. It's kind of like there's nice touches in there, but it's too long.
So
could
it
get to
feels
lot
like there's a
sooner.
bit of a scramble from streaming providers to
But this is the thing.
get a fantasy hit.
Amazon are doing this and Lord of the Rings, which is wild.
Yeah.
Like but they're spending, I can't remember the number, but they're spending an insane amount per episode on Lord of the Rings, like a fucking astronomical amount.
It's like 9 or 10 million or something.
I do think that they were talking $1 billion by the time the end of the thing was produced.
$1 billion, yeah. It's bonkers.
Jeez. Bit excessive, isn't it?
Well, it is in the sense that, like, what are you getting on screen for that money? You know, like, by the time you've put all that money in it, is it a 6-episode 45-minute show?
I didn't like actually how bright and clean this looked.
Yeah.
It looks too polished. It doesn't look lived in at all, which I think pulls you out of fantasy.
Absolutely.
Like, instantly. It's too
Not
too
to go
clean,
back to,
too
like,
bright.
and that's why I mentioned it in relation to Red Notice there as well. Like, I was watching, again, this is back to my obsession with reaction videos as well, but somebody watched Highlander, and there was a bunch of clips of Highlander in there, and just Christopher Lambert walking down a New York street in his dirty old trench coat on a dirty looking fucking street with a old shitbox beater of a car tailing him. Like, the world looks lived in a bit, you know. It really does add something. Like, the shot was from down the street. There's a bit of grain to the film. He looks cold. There's some smoke in the air. It's not well lit, you know. There's something visceral about that makes the world feel real. And, you know, I think some of that, you know, where I disconnected from The Witcher,
And I kind of get
that, where things felt theme parky.
Yeah, and like that's the thing. I think there's a couple of shots in this. I think they're maybe trying to make it look like a magical place, which I kind of get that aesthetic for certain moments, but like just costume wise, at least there's, you know, their stuff looks like it came straight from the costume department and we went right on them. And not that the costumes are bad, but they don't look worn at all.
It does look super, super polished in regards to Game of Thrones, because that's my only point of reference, really, or Lord of the Rings. I think people, I guess Netflix are trying it with The Witcher, and people are going to try it with this. I think they're just really keen to get on that fantasy.
It's like sometimes
coin,
you see,
you know?
like, I saw like this is what fashion was like in the 1920s, and people are putting, like, this guy's like dressing up and putting on his outfit, and it's all like shiny and crisp and new, and I'm like, yeah, it is. But for the most part, people had that one pair of trousers. They wore it all week. Maybe washed it on a Friday, and it looked, not that it looked grubby, but like it was not this crisp, beautiful whatever.
There was no
You
fast
had
fashion.
You had the shirt you wore to church on Sunday. You know, like the interchangeable collars was a real thing, because that's what got dirty. So they had these cardboard collar things, you know.
Yeah, but we're always gonna apply our modern day ideals to past periods, you know, that kind of way. Just looking at the cast though, in
I
fairness,
saw
is
Rosamund
very,
Pike
very
in there.
good.
But who else is there?
Yeah.
Kirsten Dunst, she's in it.
Infer from that what
I think you heard. I think I heard you.
anybody with a
I think you heard
brain
me
can
inhale.
figure that out.
Do you remember when Uwe Boll made that medieval film with Burt Reynolds as the king? You know, it's like, okay, we know what this is.
But not only that, there's another big hint in there.
What's the hint? Who is that? What? Okay.
No,
It is Kirsten Dunst, right?
big name
Say it.
cast member. No, I won't say it.
Yeah, Kev, can you
Is
run
it-
through
we
the
talking- we
cast?
still
'Cause for
talking about
some
the Wheel of
reason,
Time?
Yes.
Brian doesn't want to appear controversial today.
No, it's a spoiler. But you can
In the Wheel of Time.
yeah. But you can figure
The
it
Irish
out.
guy?
No. I thought you'd get it, but you haven't, so I won't say it. I assumed it was obvious.
Kevin, please
so I
read
was
the cast list.
You know, it's very obvious, but nobody's getting it.
Rosamund Pike. I mean, she's probably the best in it.
Exactly.
Zoe Robbins.
And I'll say no more.
Say some more. I don't know what you're talking about.
I assumed it was obvious.
Yeah, well, you keep
so
saying
I
you
was
assume it's obvious, and
alluding
it
to-
isn't. So
yeah,
please
but if
say
but
the
if, but
thing.
if but exactly, but no, but the thing is, I was like, it's a bit of a spoiler, but I think it's immediately obvious. But if you're not getting it, then it's maybe not obvious, and I would be spoiling it by saying it, so I won't say it.
Obvious from the trailer. What's going on?
Please just communicate with us.
You-
We don't care about spoilers, and we warn the class.
Who was the biggest name in season 1 of Game of Thrones?
Lena Headey.
Oh, I get it.
No, she wasn't.
No, I get it. She gonna die.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Brian, why you spoil everything on us?
You pushed me. I wasn't going to say anything. Yeah.
Rosamund Pike's character is going to
ruined.
die.
It's ruined. You've
Oh, that
ruined
ruins
it,
the whole
Brian.
fucking thing. You'd be the only reason I'd watch it.
I hope you're happy with yourself. You've ruined.
I've only read 7 books. She probably comes back, okay? But I'm just saying,
You know
anybody
who,
who knows anything about casting and shows, you look at it and go, oh, there's a big name. Who else is in it? Oh, she's the biggest name. Interesting.
There's now kind of.
How do they get her to commit to this show?
There's a lady who she's a British actress called Sophie Oquendo, but I probably butchered her surname, and I'm really sorry about that. Oquendo, but she was in Hotel Rwanda, and I think she was even in Hellboy, but kind of I saw her recently in Criminal UK, and she was really, really good in it. That was in 2020. And then she was in Ratched, and she plays Charlotte Wells in Ratched, and she's really, really good in it. But like, it's funny kind of that I hadn't seen her before, really, but then she kind of pops up in a few things, and it's kind of I know it sounds bizarre to say, but she's in the Wheel of Time as well. But it's just, I think it's always cool when you see people like kind of like, you see them kind of like, you know, you can imagine them like getting this edition, going from that kind of role to a bigger role to the bigger role, and it's like, it's cool that you kind of see the system works in a sense,
Yeah.
you know. And like, I think, yeah, she's, and like Criminal UK, her performance is phenomenal, and she's brilliant in Ratched. So maybe it's one of those things that she was underappreciated for too long, but phenomenal.
The argument of like,
So,
if you
I
can
have
get
no
yourself into the system and just do good work over a long enough period of time.
You always see it happen with people that are in Tom Cruise stuff. They tend to go on a bit of a streak. If you look at Rosamund Pike, like right around the time she did Reacher, she did Gone Girl, and she did something shortly before it, and like 2 or 3 things after. Jai Courtney went on to Suicide Squad after Reacher and a couple of other things. You always see it with people who show up in cruise stuff.
They start to,
If they're in a cruise thing, then people tend to go, oh, they've just done this with cruise, or they're about to do this with cruise, so they book another 2 or 3 jobs like on either end of the thing. So there you go.
She's not been in anything with Tom Cruise.
So I'm going to change the subject
Yeah.
to the thing that I suggested we watch last week, and I know for a fact nobody else watched, but I watched a chunk of it.
I genuinely would have watched it in a normal week.
I'm going to talk about it a little bit, and I'm going to suggest that you watch it because I have an update for you. It's on Amazon Prime, which makes it really easy.
Okay, awesome.
It is there on Amazon Prime. I think it's 2009 is the listing next to it. This came out of the fact that I was listening to a podcast where they brought up this reality show. And I especially enjoyed suggesting it because Brian just went on a an explanation as to why he dislikes reality shows.
Here's the thing, like if I try watch it,
Yeah.
You get sad.
I'm not going to last watching it.
That's fine.
That's the thing.
Uh,
So it'll I don't see a version of it playing out where I'll stick with it. Essentially, I'll give it a go.
That's fair. I'm happy to go on a little discussion with Kev because I think Kev will enjoy it.
Yeah, if I can get my partner hooked, it's gonna be real
So this is Daisy of Love. It is the 3rd series of this Of Love series of shit. I don't know if the rest of it is like this. The person that pitched it to me presented this as kind of just like a milestone in these dodgy romance finding shows, because it is just a perfect storm of Egypts coming together. And first episode, I found everybody obnoxious. By the 5th episode, you know, I am laughing a lot at how fucking ludicrous these people are. I was trying to understand how I'm able to watch this now, where at the moment, I think there's a thing that, like, in 2010 when this was on the telly, I hated that the world was like this. Now, 10 years later, I'm almost able to disconnect and go, can you believe the world was like that? Now, I absolutely know that there's just as bad bullshit going on, but there's something about just how ludicrously fucking Ed Hardy and the fashion is so god awfully different. And even I think the fashion in it was like, they are dressed odd for the time as well. Like, they are three of the contestants are a Swedish rock group that are dressed like it's 1985. The hair teased out, kind of like Twisted Sister vibe. It's...
Yeah, but they'd probably still be dressed like that now,
yeah,
to be fair.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This...
But I was going to say, do not watch any reality TV show. You know, if you can kind of distance yourself from the world in a sense of, wow, I can't believe the world is like what was like that. Do not watch modern reality TV show, because sometimes you watch it and you're like, we're watching the show and like we're like, wow, like how long ago was this? And then you find out it was 2017, and it's just like, I can't believe he talked to her like that in 2017. And it's just like,
there's
wow.
moments in this where, like, this guy was like, oh yeah, I'm a professional fighter, you know, like, my dad was addicted to pain pills and I got kicked out of the house when I was 16 and I would fight in alleys for money, and then this game show came up and it's like, I'm gonna have a roof over my head for 6 weeks. And like,
oh, that's sad.
He's then like, no, I really want a chance at love with this person. It's like, he's having a breakdown at one moment, and she's like trying to console him. He's like, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to fight this guy. We'll go into the darkness. We'll see who comes back. And like, if I have to go back to prison again, then that's fine. And you see her just go, what? Who is on this show with me? And then it just cuts to a vox pop of her going, this is Daisy of Love, not Daisy of Kill. It is...
Ugh. This is making me sad.
It's... the fact that it was made like this, the fact that, like, these are the people, like, these people are not well, and they've been put on a show.
That makes me sad.
But it's, but there's points where the host, there's a competition where they have to, like, write a song. They break into 3 bands and they write a song and sing to her, and the host is like, along with the, like, co-judge is like, well, we all know who the winner here is. And she goes, yep, John. And it's like, John just got naked can't play a fucking lick. And they just look at the one person that was a musician who played a song.
You're making me very sad.
But the host
just keeps going.
The hosts are just looking at each other and looking at this woman and the decisions she makes, going, the fuck is going on this show?
Have ye watched Burning Love?
Yes. Yeah.
That's
I think you got me onto that.
Yeah, but
that is like, it's got all the ridiculousness, but it's, you know,
but
it's
you don't
real.
feel bad because
yeah,
it's
and
a
they don't feel
performance.
it. Well,
this is that.
Yeah. But that's what I
seems
mean. It's
real.
like that's upsetting to me.
And again, I know we talk about how fake this is, but and I'm a very gullible and I want to believe kind of person. And the person presenting this on that podcast was like, this was recommended to me by somebody who worked with that producer, and they said, you have to watch it because, yes, we filmed it, and yes, we told people to come and look, whatever, but these people, all we did was put booze in the room, and these people made the weirdest decisions.
Have you watched Unreal? I think it's called Unreal.
No.
I think it's on Amazon too, and it's about the making of a type of show, a bachelorette type show, but it's scripted,
right?
But that's a good show also. That's actually worth checking
Unreal.
out because it's basically, and it's about, like, there's 2 producers essentially, and one of them has had a breakdown from, like, manipulating people into creating drama on the show, and they've had a breakdown, but they're dragged back to produce the show again by their toxic boss, and it's like just the 2 of them being toxic to each other and manipulating the cast to create conflict for ratings, and that's a good show actually.
Okay,
that's what we're watching in parallel with this to
to see to just like,
and it's a scripted, like it's a drama about the making of this type of show. So it's interesting to, as you're saying that like a producer recommended this, that to kind of watch this and then watch Unreal and realize that, yeah, you know, exactly what I'm watching in this fictionalized drama is probably what was going on behind the scenes of this very real like car wreck.
It's absolutely a train wreck, and these people are like, she's trying to get her music career going. She's a mess, you know. Like I've been sending you screen grabs and stuff as I'm watching it. At one point they have to shoot an album cover, and you can see the woman who is the photographer's technician like going through the shots trying to pick the selects for the cover, and she's just laughing in her, trying to keep a straight face as these fools make it. At one point I sent you a picture, there's a guy that just looks like Will Ferrell doing a character, and his name is Weasel, and he is drunk from episode 1 up until he's gone. And at one point she goes, so what do you do like in your life? And he goes, well, I was an optomechanical engineer, so I make the equipment for laser eye surgery. And I'm like, sorry, what the fuck did you just say? You know, like, how? Oh yeah, I packed it in and just decided my life should be partying. I'm going to live on my boat. And I'm like, okay. So, Kevin, throw on Daisy of Love. Join me in this time capsule or condensed moment of these horrible.
Yeah, well, we're just after finishing Below Deck, which is just another level of reality TV show. But I'm down like a clown, Charlie Brown. I'll check it out.
Cool.
So Below Deck isn't the Star Trek show? No.
That's Lower Decks.
Nope.
Tell us about Below Deck while we're in our
Below Deck. There's tons and tons of seasons of it, and there's different seasons of it, and you end up like basically it's about super yachts or really fancy yachts that people own, and then they hire a crew to kind of just charter these yachts around the Caribbean or whatever, and then there's really really rich people book them for a couple of days. They have ridiculous requirements and standards. It's so vapid, but it's hilarious because like they'll have a guest on it, and the guest could be really particular about something, and then the crew will just be like off camera, you know, when they do the whole like filming off camera or off the thing, kind of diary thing. But it's like they'll just be like, oh god, these people are so vapid and materialistic, I hate them, and they're creeps and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, wow, these people are on this show, they must sign some crazy waivers just to, you know, like fuck it, they can say whatever they want, you know, that kind of way. But yeah, you have the captain, then you have the chief steward, the second stew, the third stew, then you have the bosun, the first deckhand, second deckhand, all these different, and then you have the chef, and it's just the kind of the drama and the clients that come and all that kind of stuff. I tried to watch before, I think a while ago, and it just didn't capture me, but a friend of ours recommended it kind of as just trash reality, so we put it on, and at first me and Emma weren't into it because we prefer our reality TV shows to have a kind of competitive element to it, but this actually kind of like hooked us in. It was it's very funny, and like massive respect for some of the people on it, because some people like are legit like sea captains, bosuns, all that kind of stuff, like, you know, and they're on this show. Obviously they have other kind of goals and things like that, like, but some of the people like phenomenal on it, like super impressive, really really great. And then other people, I think we watched the reunion episode last night, and one of the people on it, I'm going to say her name wrong, Milena, she was a bosun on the Mediterranean yacht season 5 or something, and I really liked her. She was great. She was really really like forward, really fair, all this kind of stuff. And then apparently she received loads of hate, and it's just like, why? Like, she was literally like the most logical,
I know why,
practical person.
Go on.
Misogyny.
Oh, well, that's your answer for everything.
Because the captain's female. Sandy, the captain, was female. I don't think she got particularly. Milena I think she got kind of backlash because she had outed somebody for having drugs on board. But the thing is, maritime law, but it's just like, you can't do it. Like, you can't do it. You know, it's just like you're responsible for people on the boat. You're on a boat. It's like kind of being like, you know,
You're not though. They're not responsible for the people on the boat.
well, if they're out of their head and something happens and there's an emergency and they can't act on the protocol that would normally ensue said emergency, then that's because
I'm not saying it's
that's not
professional or anything. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying.
Anyways, she broke the rules, and rules are rules. That's all I'm saying.
Rules are rules.
Yeah, and I think like black and white at the end of the day. Rules are rules. Like, you can't give her shit for doing her job. That's what she's employed. They all sign contracts. She even says in the reunion, it's just like, well, you signed a contract though. You signed a contract saying that you wouldn't do those things, and you like, you know, you wouldn't have those things on board for the show and for the boat. Like, at the end of the day, it's a job, it's law, black and white. Just get over it. So yeah,
misogyny.
Probably.
Yeah. She followed the rules. She did her job.
Captain Sandy, she's great.
Gave her shit because
So where can we watch Below Decks?
It was great. It's on all 4 or 4OD. 2 seasons of it are on Netflix.
So we got 2 seasons of Below Decks on Netflix. We have Unreal is on Prime. There seem to be 4 seasons there with some weird stuff going on. Season 1 is 2015, but season 4 is 2013. That's some weird shit going on.
Season 1's in there twice for some reason.
Amazon Prime is a weird mess of terms of cataloguing.
Mess.
But on Amazon Prime, you will also find Daisy of Love. I think I don't want to watch a lot of that. I don't want to watch a lot of reality TV shows. So if somebody has condensed all of the horrible excesses of it into one 12-episode chaos mess, I'll watch that. And so far, I am, and it's fun. There we go.
Fair.
Shall we talk about What If?
Yes.
We're on episode 4. I actually went and I rewatched the Captain Carter episode last night. There's some lovely stuff in that. I've heard some people giving out about the animation stuff in it, but I like it. I think it's...
I only made a connection kind of in my mind or an observation watching episode 4. And I don't know, maybe somebody said it. Maybe I said it, but it only really actually occurred to me like out loud watching episode 4. But this is very much them trying to do a Spider-Verse in terms of also the visual and the medium and the art style.
Okay.
And I wish that they went more that direction with it.
Leaned into it.
Yeah, in terms of like making it really visual and stuff, especially given that it's 3D.
Well,
but I get the feeling that they looked at it.
The art director on it, and he's done a lot of the concept stuff. I've seen his name associated with a lot of the concept stuff of Marvel over the years, right?
Yeah.
But I am curious to see the work of some of the other, because I do see the Spider-Verse influence in even like the background stuff, the concept art.
The backgrounds, but when it jumped out to me was with Strange and the apple, and just like some of the effects they had on the apple. I was like, oh, that's very Spider-Verse kind of rendering. I was like, oh, that's probably what sparked this. Was like, hey, let's, Spider-Verse is over there. Let's do a multiverse thing like Spider-Verse and do it in the same style. And they haven't kind of given it the full budget to do it the whole way through because, like I said, I don't like that 3D animation stuff as 2D, but that's not exactly what this is. Yeah. And I think it gets away with it better, but sometimes it looks a little bit cutscene. Yeah. And it'd be cool if they actually did the full Spider-Verse treatment on it.
Because I think they're trying realistically, to measure it and still keep it very anchored in a stylized,
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be kind of, stop motioning and like fully that level, but just in terms of like the kind of fidelity of the aesthetic as opposed to straight copying it. Yeah. Because like they've said that these shows have a comparable budget to a feature, right?
Right.
So
what if?
Well, for the other shows,
the live action stuff,
and that's the thing is like I would have liked them to, if they're spending, let's say anywhere between 60 and 80, or let's say around 80 million, maybe,
right,
for these shows. It'd be cool if they did that for the animated show too. I think that'd be the difference because apparently it hasn't really got the same following on social media that Loki or WandaVision has, and I think it's because they haven't really given it the full. I think if they'd invested more in it and went, hey, actually, let's do a Spider-Verse and break it into episodes, because it seems to be, based on the episode, it seems to be kind of essential viewing for what's coming up next, and people don't seem to be watching it.
Yeah, I think there's a really frustrating disconnect people have with animation.
Yeah.
There is like the three of us being kind of animation heads, like it is still funny. Like I listened to a podcast the other day where somebody was like, you know, I just can't. I'm not going to be a grown man watching cartoons. And it's like, you motherfucker, you know, it's a film. Even if it is a cartoon, somebody went and was like, yeah, it is. It's pretty fucking frustrating. Like if you think animation is just kids, then you're not watching the right animation.
But by that measure, you know, sports are for kids. Everybody gets into sports from, you know, a young age. They end up following whatever team, you know, their dad's following or whoever. And it's like, by that logic, to turn around and say, oh, sports are for kids, which they are. Sports are stupid.
But like, if you want to go,
they
like,
are.
If you want to,
Sports
like, as
games.
a child, the first films you see, go, say you watch The Shark Boy and Lava Girl or A Home Alone, you know, it's like live action movies for children. By that logic, I should stop watching films because films are for kids.
Yeah.
You know?
It's dumb.
Yeah.
Like, you're watching the animated films for kids. Granted, go watch some of the animated content that's for you.
Good episode. Yeah.
I was very minor thing. Like, I started trying to Google and trying to find who the effects animators were, the animated team, because it felt like 2D. I
just had a thought.
I was really happy to see the Kirby Crackle come in for the Doctor Strange's like evil magic. That was really great to see, especially as that is very associated with Strange, and I guess Strange is more a Ditko character, but all the magic that we've seen from Strange has been the glowing wheel stuff. It was nice to see some of that Kirby energy coming in. Sorry, you had a thought.
I had a thought. Leslie Bibb was back for this episode.
Who the fuck was she? Was she the newscaster or something?
She's She's playing the same character. She's playing the news reporter that she's played.
2 or 3 of them.
Yeah. Rachel McAdams came back.
Yeah, that character.
Rachel McAdams.
Anything that should have been Rachel.
Here's the thing. Well, she's got a very distinct mole, which they didn't give her. Here's the thing. Follow me, if you will. She initially was announced as not returning for Strange 2.
Right.
And then later it was like, no, she is. She's coming back for Strange 2.
Okay.
And she's also voicing her character in this. Now, the only way you could get somebody to come back is if you say, hey, your part's going to be
significant.
Bigger. It's going to be significant. So, and also, the character model doesn't look like her. They didn't use her likeness in the same way because they probably didn't think
she was coming back.
They didn't know if they were going to get her back. They probably got her back because they were able to say, hey, you're going to have a bigger part in these kind of films coming up. Leslie Bibb is playing the same news reporter from the Iron Man movies, and they brought her in to do this little background thing. Probably also because she's coming back in a film. Basically, I'm saying they probably convinced a lot of people to come back for voicing
this
a cartoon on the premise that they're going to be in future films, and it's probably why Scarlett didn't come back, why Evans didn't come back, and why Downey Jr. didn't come back, because they're not coming back in a major way. But anybody that is voicing a character in the show, we're probably going to see again, including Atwell as Carter. Do you get me? Do you get what I'm saying?
I do, yeah.
The fact that Adams wasn't coming back and then was coming back was probably because they're saying, hey, look, there's a bigger part where we're going to beef up your role and there's more for you to do, and you got to come back and do this voice for the thing. And the character doesn't have a mole because they didn't know if she was going to be back or not, and then she came back. But anybody who's voicing somebody in an episode, we can kind of bank on them coming up in a film, I would say. And that's why we haven't seen... That's why Hemsworth is back. That's why, like, so Hemsworth came back to voice Thor. Renner's in it. Cumberbatch is in it. Plenty of big names came back, and I would assume it's because we're going to see them in films, including Captain Carter. Kev, tell me what you thought of the episode.
I really liked this episode this time. Not this time. I actually think what if for the most part has been a really enjoyable thing.
Yep.
And I do actually look forward to, say, when me and Liam finally get through the MCU and all that kind of stuff, kind of going back and watching these with her because they're kind of fun. I like this one because I kind of just liked how brutal it was.
Mm-hmm.
That I like that kind of Groundhoggy Day stuff to a degree, or like kind of, this type of thing of even as powerful as Strange is, or any of these characters, they're still just not.
I think she died a lot under mysterious circumstances, almost as if
Like murder.
Almost as if Strange at the end of time sees the error of his mistake, and it's actually him trying to stop himself. That's why she keeps dying. It's because Strange realizes that going ahead with it will be cataclysmic. Do you get me?
Huh?
There's a lot of the ways she dies are very mysterious, but also very deliberate. Like having a heart attack on the dance floor.
Oh, yeah.
Getting shot in the pizza shop.
Yep.
What if all those things are Strange, that's Strange at the end, trying to stop himself? Because he's realized his mistake, and the reason it actually keeps happening so deliberately is because he's trying to stop himself.
So you're saying, like, kind of when the master... What's that lady's name?
The ancient one?
Yeah, ancient one, sorry, yeah. When she split Stephen in half, that kind of creates some sort of time loopy parallel thing.
Not even like everybody's trying to convince him to not do it, and he won't listen. Mm-hmm. And they keep telling him you can't do this because it'll be the end of everything, and he won't listen. Mm-hmm. And then it is the end of everything at the end, but he's still alive. And what if the version of him alive at the end is the person that keeps trying to
going back and trying to
because he realizes no, this was a mistake, and the reason why she keeps dying in like a lot of the ways are like the car coming up behind them seems deliberate. It seems like it was a hit almost, and then she has a heart attack on the dance floor, and then her building catches fire, like all these things. And like what if it's actually Strange at the end of time trying to prevent that happening,
him doing all this stuff? So you're saying you're saying it could be 3 Stranges.
It's the same Strange, just the one from the end of time. But yes,
Okay.
I don't know. It was just, to me, it seemed like it seemed like there was a force very deliberately trying to stop it.
But could be. I'm not going to say no because I'm going to yawn. It is going to kill me. Could be. But I'm not saying you're wrong. But I did like it, and I did like the kind of how he was consuming all these monsters for centuries and centuries and stuff, and how the Ancient One did at that point just have to break them apart, and he didn't know that kind of stuff. And then the kind of fight between the Strange, and I liked how he lost essentially. But I loved how he pleaded with the Watcher, because he realized that it was kind of cool, because it's just like it was actually kind of cool, because it's just like no matter what he did, no matter what, even learning all the banned arts and the ancient magic and stuff, and consuming all those monsters and that kind of fight and all those things, no matter what happened, she was always going to die. And whether that death resulted in the end of the world or just a kind of a certain timeline, it was just like she was going to die, as in you can't change the inevitable. But I did like the way that was kind of his motivation for learning the arts and all that kind of stuff. It's an interesting take on it. You've spoken before how you feel like this. You felt like this was going to be a big episode. It was gonna kind of put a lot forward for the MCU. Strange's position in the MCU, how it affects kind of the snowball or the butterfly effect of that kind of episode and stuff. What is your opinion about that now? Do you feel like you were right, or did you?
Yeah, I think we're just starting to see. I think this is the first instance of I think the Watcher is going to intervene, basically.
Do you?
Yeah. And a lot of the characters we've been introduced to are coming back in later episodes.
I hope Monster Strange doesn't. I didn't like him. He was cool and all, but he was a baddie. He was a naughty no-no.
Here's the thing. At the end of it, I think he is changed by the end.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've seen some people. I've seen some people say like, "Oh no, he's still evil." It's like, but he. How could he?
No,
How could he still be evil?
realized.
He's got to have realized. Yeah. Like,
oh, he did, because he was just like, "Please, like, you can't destroy the world because of my selfishness. Like, I'm an absolute fucking idiot."
It wouldn't make sense for him to still be bitter at this point.
Yeah, it's like serial killers who find God.
Yeah. So I'm assuming he's leaning back more towards the side of good by the end of it. But I do think the Watcher is going to intervene and is going to draw a few characters together for something.
For different things.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, that'd be pretty exciting. Yeah, do you ever wonder, like you watch some of those things and serial killers finding God in prison and stuff, and it's just like they're never sorry. They're not. They're sorry they got caught, and there's a big difference between that. And they only find God because it's pretty much the humane thing to do. But there's still that kind of killer inside, because I know that sounds awful, but it's like
they're still just they can do it. They don't feel empathy, so they could just as easily kill someone and still feel nothing over it because their brains don't work that way.
Yes, if it was like one last hit,
they might be able to see. They might be able to see why it was wrong, and they might be like they can maybe even intellectualize like any sort of treatment that they might get for like helping show why it's wrong. They might understand better to why not do it and everything. But their brain doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have empathy in the same way. So like if they were to get lots of, whether it's through religion or therapy or something, they might understand better and they might be better at resisting, but they don't feel remorse in the same way. So under the right conditions, they're just as capable of doing it because they don't have the same thing kind of preventing them from doing it that other people would. Which is scary.
Yeah, it is scary. It is fascinating.
But there's different types as well. Like there's psychopaths who will never be violent.
Oh, of course,
like they won't feel empathy in the same way, but they'll also know not to do those things. And
there's a spectrum of it, I guess. Yeah. Pretty scary stuff. Doctor Strange, I thought it was excellent. I liked it. What's your favorite episode so far?
I'm not sure. I've liked them all kind of evenly.
Yeah.
I think
I like this one a lot.
This one probably had the strongest, like, emotional.
I was going to say, it emoted the most kind of.
Yeah, Cumberbatch did a really good job selling the kind of anguish, because we've only met McAdams' character in one film, so we're relying on him to sell the pain of losing her, and I think he did a good job of that.
I hope she comes back for more.
Well, she's coming back for Doctor Strange too.
Yeah, I know you're saying that, but like kind of whatever reasons and stuff like that. But because like, to be fair, like kind of again, she's another phenomenal actor that like is underserved in the MCU to a degree.
This is the third time she's been involved in a time travel-y story.
She was in About Time.
About Time and the Time Traveler's Wife, the one with Eric Bana.
I've never seen that one, but About Time is brilliant.
Yeah,
it's so good. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, watch it. It's excellent. Anybody who hasn't watched it, watch it. It's like a kind of romantic comedy kind of thing, but there's a lot of heart in it, like a lot of good stuff in it. It's brilliant. I always get it wrong, but it's Rachel McAdams, Donald Gleason, I think, and there's a Bill. I always get his name wrong. Bill Nighy or something. He was in Underworld. He was in Love Actually. He's in a great movie on Netflix called The Hope Gap. If no one has seen it, The Hope Gap on Netflix is a kind of romantic. No, I wouldn't say romantic drama, but it's a very good drama. If you've not seen The Hope Gap, again, people go watch it. It's really, really good. Do you know the guy I'm talking about? He's the stepfather in Shaun of the Dead.
I don't remember. I think I know who you're on about. You're on about, like, he's in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes, I think so.
He's Davy Jones. Squid Face.
No, I don't think he's Davy Jones. Isn't that like Peter something?
No, he's Squid Face.
Bill Nighy. Yeah, it is Bill Nighy is his name.
He's Davy Jones, isn't he?
I'm not too sure. I thought that was somebody else. I thought that was the. Oh no! You're
Skarsgård plays Bootstrap.
no, not Stargard.
It's
I was
Skarsgård.
thinking the other guy, Peter something. If Bill Nighy is, he's in. Yeah, you're right. He's Davy Jones. He's a brilliant actor. I know I couldn't remember his name, but I do like.
No, you got it right.
About Time though, he's in that as well. If you've not seen it, watch it though. About Time is genuinely very, 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 very good, and very, like I said, it pulls on the old heartstrings for time traveling kind of. Like I think people could watch, like, say, like, or see the DVD cover and totally pass over, because it's like from the creator of Love Actually and Notting Hill, Four Weddings and a Funeral, About Time, and it's just like, oh, that's just a love story, but it's such a fantastic take on time travel and all that kind of stuff. It's very, very cool.
I was going to say, I missed the last few minutes. Did we cover the episode?
Kind of, but I was going to say, really, really run down. Cool, lots of feeling in it, like kind of pulled on the old heartstrings. You really felt for Strange. Cumberbatch was awesome. Monster designs are cool.
The monster designs were great, weren't they?
Stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. What did you think?
I mean, much the same as you. Like I really enjoyed that process of the monsters appearing. There's some of the humor that I just don't latch onto. It's like trying to play the name joke again. You know, it's Armani. Well, Armani, come with me. Oh, it's Strange. Well, no stranger than any other name. Like,
I like that stuff.
it's the same thing Coulson did in the last thing as well. You know, like he's a space pirate god. I enjoyed the episode overall. It was cool seeing, Wong as well, the protection spells. It's funny how they represent that magic to a degree. Like Doctor Strange literally punched the magic off of him.
I like how the last one he was just able to brush it off.
Yeah. I did like the moments. It felt very natural as his power increased, that he started to sort of, his perceptions expanded to the point where he could see the Watcher or sense him. I thought that was a really nice touch, and a nice way of sort of introducing the idea that the Watcher could become involved.
The Watcher is definitely going to become.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime the Watcher appears in a comic book, he tells you he can't get involved, and then he gets involved.
I can't do shit, and then he does shit.
Yeah.
I love the Watcher.
I didn't see nothing. Slip me a 5. I saw something.
The Watcher's like, oh, I hate drama, and it's just like in everybody's business behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I don't like drama, but I'm also all about.
I enjoyed seeing more Doctor Strange, you know, and in a standalone concept. Like in the same way that I enjoyed seeing Wong pop up in Shang Chi.
Has Kev seen it yet?
Kev has not seen Shang-Chi.
Okay. Then.
But I saw Wong is in the trailer.
Yeah, I don't think that's spoilers.
Yeah, no. I'm happy to duck out if you're going to start going into Shang-Chi.
Yeah, we are in a moment. So what I want to do here is, Brian and I did make a point of going to see Shang-Chi, and Brian is away next week, and we're here on opening weekend. We have seen it. Let's do a little bit of a chat of it. I'm conscious for the listeners as well. We always do say that this is a spoiler-heavy podcast, and we're going to go into it. But first, we're going to address the competition that we've been running on Instagram. So we have been running a competition to get our followers and listenership up. At the goal of 150 followers, we're doing a giveaway of a commission. I will be contacting the winner, asking them a character they like, and I will be drawing an A4 black and white ink bust along the lines of the stuff that you see on my Instagram at Sully Draws. So what I've done, and I'm going to share my screen with the two remote lads, is I have taken an export of the names of all of the people on our Instagram, and I have fed it into an online Wheel of Fortune kind of jib-jab, and we are going to run this thing, and we are going to get a winner out the other side of it. I will check that it is a real person, and we will contact that person. Yeah, and just like I've filtered out, you know, like my art account follows our account as well, so I've made sure that I'm not in it to win it. Y'all can see my screen?
And my mum.
Oh, your mum's in there. She entered. So let's see what we get when we spin the wheel.
Your mom.
She's enough of my terrible drawings her whole life.
I will post this. I'm doing a screen record as well, so I will post this video of the winner selection to the Instagram. Here we go. Click.
God,
it's very slow.
There. My brother told me before he didn't want any artwork for presents anymore.
All right, well, sorry, Benny.
Any of your artwork, Kev? Is it?
Yeah, mine.
Ouch.
So let me just check that this is a real account, because, you know, the internet. Congratulations to gear.thrasher on Instagram. Brad, you do seem to be real. So congratulations on being real.
Congratulations being real.
I will be getting in touch over the next day or two as we post the episode and we post the winner video up online. Tell me a character. I'll draw them up. We'll send them off. Congratulations. Thank you for following the Endless Stream. Thank you for listening in. If you haven't been listening, please listen. We will run another giveaway.
How will they know to listen, Aidan?
I'll post this video. We'll make a clip of this and put it on the Instagram.
No, like how will people not listening know to listen?
Well, if they follow the Instagram, they're going to see it on the Instagram. They might not listen to the podcast, like most of my friends and family. I was going to say, yeah, if you do listen to the podcast, or if you like the podcast, do share it on the social medias. Share with friends or people who could be enthusiastic about it, whatever. We are doing this for fun. We do like it, and mostly it's self-serving, but whatever. We do hope people tune in and listen. Aidan might be having a stroke. I can't see Aidan anymore, but no, do listen. It means a lot to us. Aidan puts a lot of work into editing. We get together and really enjoy this and have fun, and we'd like more people to be involved. Send us messages, send us voice notes, send us emails, Instagrams, whatever. Let us know what you're watching. Suggest stuff for us to watch, because sometimes we don't know what to watch.
Sometimes Aidan suggests
has
Daisy
a
of
reality
Love.
TV show. Yes.
Yeah.
So do kind of like, the more kind of people involved in giving us like messages or suggestions and stuff, I think the more fun and kind of like inclusive it can be. Does that make sense? Whatever. My belly is rumbling so much.
Since we've started doing this, and this is episode 25, that should be noted as well.
25,
which has kind of worked perfectly. Since we've started this as well, like, we have connected very casually but in friendly ways with other podcasts on the Owl Instagram as well. So, you know, shout out to Geekable Podcast, shout out to Too Drunk to Be Sober. Across the Bifrost is one that I just started listening to as well. Those guys are doing like deep dives on the lore of Thor.
Thor lore. Guys at Geekable have some great interviews with some comic creators, so definitely check them out.
Guys at Geekable, guys at Comic Booked, the podcast, which is, you know, fun sort of like introducing people to. Matt takes his girlfriend Katie on a hilarious journey through the comic book world, one character at a time. So these are just, you know, obviously there's a big podcast community out in the world, and we're dipping our toe in and shots. Right, with that, Brian and I are going to have a quick chat about Shang Chi. So if you haven't seen Shang Chi yet, this is your I guess 30-minute warning. Get the hell out. Get the hell out.
No, get the hell out.
Go watch the movie, come back and have a
I
listen.
feel like that was directed more to me, folks.
Kevin can fuck himself.
Get the hell out. Okay, text me when you're done so I can turn off so I can send you the files and turn off my computer.
Well, if we're done, just turn it off and send me the file. If you're done, you know, just bounce.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, turn it off and send me the file.
Bye, guys.
Goodbye.
Can't wait to see Shang Chi. I won't be able to listen to this podcast until I see it. So,
Yeah, well, I mean, you can listen to the point where we tell you to jump off.
Up until right here, where we say, go scram.
So, Kevin, if you're listening to this, don't.
Can you believe
stop.
that Thor shows up in this movie? I was really fucking surprised. He's gone, folks.
I'm just going to text him now to tell him that last bit he heard is real.
Aiden says sorry for the spoiler.
That Thor bit is real. Aiden says sorry. Wild though. Thor. Who knew? More Thor.
First impressions, Brian. Did you like it?
I was loving it, and it lost me at Soul Suckers. Short answer. Yeah, no, I was loving it, and family drama, most interesting point, and then so there's like, oh, there's a mega soul sucker and these other soul suckers, and we got to stop. And it's like, what? I don't give a shit about this. Like, we'll go back to the family stuff, and it's at the center of the whole thing. So many flashbacks, so much good stuff in there, and then it becomes. I don't like battle scenes anyway. I think Endgame is the only time I've really liked one. Rare exception, and that's because it built to it in a very, rewarding, earned way. Yeah, I don't like battle scenes anyway, so the fact that, I know I'm jumping right to the end here, but like my first impression is that I was enjoying it so much. I was like, this is good. It feels a bit different. It's kind of new. I'm impressed with so much of it. And I'm not saying I dislike it either. It's just at the very end, I was just like, it seems like afterthought or revision that they were like, we need to punch this up in some way. What if we do like we did in Black Panther, where there's a kind of an army, except instead of rhinos and armor, it's magic monsters. And what are they going to fight? I don't know. What about this big soul sucking thing? Like, yeah, cool. What do we call the soul sucker? I don't know. We'll come up with a name later. And then they just, that's what it felt like to me. It felt like they revised it. They tried to punch it up a bit. And it's just out of nowhere. Everything else is so well built up over the course of the film. And then
It's like they gave... See, now I really enjoyed it until you said that. And now I'm like, I suppose you're right. Fuck.
But I did too. Like, I was really enjoying it. I was loving so much of it. And yeah. So let's go back a bit. That's just my kind of overall impression, is that it would have been a top Marvel film for me, but it lost me a bit at the end. But let's go back a few steps maybe.
Okay.
Let's talk about the story.
So
Quick story summary.
So Shang Chi introduces the concept of the 10 rings as this powerful, life-giving weapon that keeps its bearer immortal and just completely a force to be reckoned with. He builds an army, builds an empire, lives 1,000 years, seeks more power.
Not Shang-Chi, Wenwu, for clarity.
I didn't hear his name clear enough to actually say it to anybody.
Wenwu.
Because he only says it once.
Says it once, I think, yeah.
And here's a funny thing. Like, is it funny or is it just lack of, I don't know, fucking cinema going savvy, tolerance, or whatever the hell might be going on. But I was really looking forward to this. This is the first time I've been to the cinema since August 2020. I booked my seat. I had my 8 seats around me, my orbit. That, like, they don't let anybody sit in, or, you can't book those seats around you, so whatever. Mm-hmm. And of course, some woman comes in and sits directly behind me with her 2 kids. Now,
Last time I was at the cinema, somebody was directly, like, one in front and over. Yeah. So they were in the wrong seat and I moved. Luckily, there was quieter, but I was just like, I got so mad. It's like, you're in the wrong fucking seat.
I was, like, they weren't directly behind me, but, like, they should have been 1 seat further left. Mm-hmm. And it just...
Same with this guy who was in front. He should have been 1 further left. And I was just like, God damn it.
But it really is hard to get into somebody out there over it,
Oh, yeah. So, well, like I said, I was lucky I was able to just move to my right. But, yeah.
And that's kind of what I did. I didn't, like, when I was booking my seats, I could have booked the one on the edge, but I booked one in to leave myself that one on the edge plus the alleyway or the stairwell. But it's just as a little bit of tension, but basically I let it go and I sat there. And the two kids were under 10. And then the movie started and there's a lot of subtitles. And those kids did not read a one of them. I was just like, shit, like this movie, like they kind of are the right age group for this film. Mm-hmm. They're kind of right who it's aimed at, but they weren't reading those subtitles. And I think they disconnected immediately. And I think at one point I heard a kid go, "Do we have to watch this thing?"
Oh, wow.
Like that was like half an hour in. Do we have to keep watching this? And
is it 12s? Is it 12As?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Maybe they're a little young. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
Because I liked the fact that it was subtitled at the start. I was like,
"Oh,
good,
100%."
You know,
I was like, "This is what this needs to be."
Yeah,
I don't want them to be, pandering to the audience. Like, let's. I love the fact that he's like, he knows 4 languages and they're speaking these. Even if there is, quickly to, there's always a bit of English in there to bring the sort of general audience back.
It does a bit of that kind of Hunt for Red October thing where they talk, Russian for a couple of seconds
and then go, "Have you been practicing your English?"
Yeah.
I would like to practice my English. I too can speak in English. Yeah, I just thought it was funny. I just had that opportunity or had that moment to think about the children being brought to see it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, this kid's immediately out, I really enjoyed the film. And every time there was a fight scene, there was definitely a point in it where I just went, oh, they are not iron fisting this. Like, they are... A point is being made. When we saw the trailer and I was like, I don't necessarily like the floaty Crouching Tiger stuff. It was really well done. It was beautifully done.
It's a deliberate homage to Hero and
House of Flying Daggers,
and Crouching Tiger. Yeah.
And
I think it landed well. I think it played out well.
Yeah, and the way the movement and the style of martial arts as practiced only by the gods in Ta Lo, this mystical village, this is where you see that happening, and it's not what we see in the wider world. And when he's confronted with it, it's just this different energy, and it becomes a dance, and it's like their first meeting, and I thought it was great. I was really smiling and.
So yeah, he finds the rings. Wenwu finds these rings. They've kept him alive. He's been the dominating figure in the shadows for centuries. And then he meets this woman in a magical village in the 90s. And she changes him and he's got 2 kids. And then she dies and the 2 kids, one stays and one runs away. That one being Shang Chi, and we catch up with him in present day. Post-blip, and his past comes back to get him. And it did so much, so well. It told all of that really well, kind of going back and forth between, revealing bits of the past and the childhood, and Wenwu's, his love for this woman, and kind of what's changed that he's now kind of looking for him. And then, just right at the end, they introduced this. And even to be honest, like when they were talking about it, when they're looking at that mural, I was still on board because I thought, okay, what is this thing? Is it going to connect to What If possibly? Is this force we're seeing some other thing that's going to come up?
He that dwells in the dark is what they refer to?
Yeah. So I thought maybe it was going to connect to Strange or What If in some way. And then it's just this bat thing.
Yeah.
And it's wiped out, like they had a kind of a Wakanda type society because we see these skyscrapers and stuff they have, and this thing wiped it all out.
They don't even say that. They say they actually say our society is more than this village.
They say
they don't say we had, they say we have.
I think they said we had.
I thought it was very present tense, that like we're here and now, but like you head up the road.
Yeah, I think it says both of it, but my takeaway is that we used to have this much bigger society, and it's been reduced to much less, and it goes beyond our shoreline, but it's nothing like what it was previously. That was my take. Is that it's more than that, just that village, but it's no longer the gleaning towers and stuff. But anyway, this thing wiped all that out, and I was like, so what is it? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
Surely it's connecting to something in the larger Marvel universe, and then it's just this bat thing, and it just undersells. I mean, we should be grateful it's not a sky beam, I guess, but at the same time, I cared so much more about what's going on with the family dynamic and stuff there, especially because what's driving him to it is that he can't get over the fact that he's lost this woman. He's been around for centuries, and she changed him, and he wanted to change and be better, and the moment she's gone, he's lured back into this old way, and his family need him, and yet he can't break away. And you're thinking, okay, maybe it is, this thing is kind of, perverting him in some way, and it's just nothing in the end. It's just this, it felt tacked on, and I was a bit disappointed with that. But before all that, it's so good. There's so much good stuff in there. The bus fight is loads of fun.
I want to say that I really, really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start picking at it, and I'm going to start positing
that's what
other angles or other threads or other ways they could have gone. The first time we get a shot of that bus running away over a hill, sliding down the thing, that was an awful piece of CG.
Yeah.
It was fucking
but again,
horrible looking.
That's just time, I'd imagine. There's some shots just get less rendering than others, and thankfully it's only one shot.
It was shocking.
It's bad, yeah.
It was
especially when do it practically. Surely, put CG the people in it, but
and I was thinking that as well,
obscure the windows or something. But like, do that practically at least. But they didn't. I'm sure they did a reason for not.
I was thinking about that concept exactly when we're bouncing from loads of things, but there's a moment where Shang, his father, and his sister clear a mountain field and come over the base. And I'm like, why isn't this hitting me in a way that feels really impressive? Like, it looks impressive and it's fine, but it's because I know that mountain that they cleared was a CG element that was like nuke or
you can tell, like, anytime it's something that like the recent Bond films have tried to make a point of doing in terms of locations and stuff. Yeah,
that's exactly what I was getting to.
And the second you see it, you go, "Oh wow!" Like you just know.
The island in Skyfall, is it?
Yeah.
Where they meet Javier Bardem, that abandoned island. When we get a location shot of that thing, CG is amazing. Real is real.
Yep. It just
yeah.
There's no comparison.
It is funny. It hits you viscerally different.
There's so many shots that we probably don't even realize are CG, that are some composite stuff. But when it's an establishing shot like that, you'd have to spend a lot of time, compositing and rendering to really set it, because it just never. There's a reason.
But you still
Lord of the
look
Rings
like you
is
still
so...
look at it and you go, "Yeah, it's great." But if it was real, it's just different.
When it's CG, it's just a kind of a connective tissue. It's like, it's just taking you from the last scene into the next one. You're kind of like, oh, I know where I am. I know where we are. It's an establishing shot. It's just kind of connective tissue. But when it's real, it's like, oh, wow. It hits on a much, much different.
Yeah. Because even as the helicopter comes in, you see 4 like Jeep things driving in. And I'm like, it kind of has a sort of micro machines.
Yeah,
like, I know those aren't real cars kind of thing, and
there's even a shot kind of towards the end where when Wu's army shows up in their 4-wheel drive, and it just looks like 4 4-wheel drive vehicles at a garden center. It's a very tight shot. It's just wide enough just to fit these, and it's up above, and it's lush and it's green, but it just looks like they It looks like a set. It looks like 4 cars pulled up in a set, and it doesn't ruin anything. But it's just look, they've got to make decisions where they.
It's just you can
just
step
observations.
Back and go,
yeah.
If we had Amazon unlimited money, let's go get all these shots for real, because that's gonna hit. We talked about this initially, and like episode 2 or 3 of this podcast, I remember sort of going, "Oh, it's a fight film. It's a tournament fight film."
Yeah,
it isn't quite that.
No,
and what we were talking about there in relation to Wenwu's arc and his goal, like, I think what they were trying to do was make him as kind of empathetic or sympathetic a character as a Thanos. Turn something that we have kind of associated as a sort of evil thing and assign him human motivations.
Favorite actors as well, and he just does such a great job. Tony Leung.
Yeah.
Like, Chungking Express is one of my favorite films.
Mm.
I've been a fan for a long time, and I'm so glad he's in this, and he's brilliant. He does very little to sell that, like, I'm falling in love.
Yeah.
To sell fear, to sell menace. He's so good at being, like, terrifying, but also gentle and charming. He's one of my favorite actors.
The moment when he's seeing his wife and child, and Razor Fist says something, and it brings him back, and he's so vulnerable, but realizes, oh, I'm exposed, bring it back to me. Mm-hmm. Like, you see that range of loss, vulnerability, realization.
He does it all with so little. He's incredible.
Yeah. So what I was getting to there, though, was it wasn't the fight film I thought it was going to be. And if you then go...
And it's a better film for it. It's a better film for being what it actually is. Like, yeah.
You think it is?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So what I was going to say was, the follow-up question to me going, I want it to be a fight film, is what could it be as a fight film that would be sort of emotionally cathartic or relevant? And I don't know how you connected to the movie Warrior, but that is a film about the relationship between brothers and a father, and it managed to center the fractures in that relationship and any reconciliations that happen around a fight tournament, and pull that off. Now, does having that as a template immediately tell you what a Shang-Chi fight film could be that would create that dynamic between father, son, and daughter? It doesn't necessarily, but like, it just is an example of how it could have gone, and then it became this.
I get what you're saying, like
Chinese mythology thing.
I don't mind the mythology so much. I think it would have been a better film if it just centered that family thing more, and whether it follows Warrior and the tournament aspect. Yeah, that's one way maybe it kind of would have been better, but I think it also could have just. It could have just been him going to the village. Like, there didn't need to be a big battle scene. Like, it could have played out much the same way, just without that battle stuff. It could have just been the two of them outside the gate, and then have whatever be on the other side. And that still would have centered, because essentially it came down to him telling his dad, "Your family needs you," and he finally reaches him. Kind of when it's too late. So that family stuff is still there. It's just there's this other background stuff going on that was less.
Even if it had been that, this mystical village with all of its magic and all of its power was this, Tantalus goal that he had been working towards for 1,000 years and had put aside, and now with his dead wife he sought more power to try and bring her back or something. Rather than like this third party element that just appears 2/3 of the way into the film, who seems to be communicating with him from another dimension. It just was a bit odd.
It felt tacked on. It felt tacked on. And again, it didn't ruin it. It was the weakest part of it, I think, for me.
Yeah. The thing is, though, it did allow for some... It became a bit white noisy by the time I can't make out which part of what dragon is rubbing up against each other.
Yeah.
Awkwafina suddenly having a game-changing archery skill set. Not that she became amazing at archery, but she was just there with the one arrow at the right moment. Was a bit like, I don't think we needed that. I think that character wanted that to remain relevant to the story, but like, I don't know, like these arrows got some hella range. Maybe I missed it in the marketing, but I think his sister was underrepresented in trailers and stuff. Like, by the time she's
got a much bigger part than I expected. Yeah.
By the time she's in the movie with him, I'm like, this may as well be, you know, the siblings and the Ten Rings. Like, I don't know what their surname would be, to Shang Chi and Julang and the Ten Rings, because she is just
part
as
of
relevant
that
to the narrative.
Yeah, is part of that though keeping some of the story back? Maybe is that why?
Yeah, I think it is just given the journey they gave that character and the input they gave her.
Because it's as much Awkwafina and Katie as well. It's very much the two of them, and the end of the film, you know, puts a kind of it underlines that. It's like, you know, it's them, you know, which is cool.
It's a funny, like, I liked Katie, I liked Sean, I liked Julang. I thought they were, you know, as much the leads of this film as Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
So it is sort of like, oh, this is everybody's movie, not just his, you know. They could have, I don't know, I guess he gets his hero title. There was a moment, we're well into spoiler territory, this is the post-credit scene. There was a moment where I thought Wong was about to say, or I thought Banner was about to say, he says, "Welcome to the circus." But I thought he was about to say, "Welcome to the Avengers," and I was like, "Motherfucker's right, it was an Avengers." Because Brian and I had this brief conversation where the marketing was pitching this as Marvel's newest Avenger, and I was like, you can't just call yourself an Avenger because you've done some superheroic shit. Like, there's a form to fill out. There's union dues. There's a wait list. You know, you don't just do something and suddenly you're that. But there is a moment with Mark Ruffalo's Banner where he goes, "Welcome to the circus." And as he said "welcome to it," he's going to say it. I thought Brian's right.
I'm still right, because we know what he meant by
has much
circus.
welcomed them. He has much welcomed them to the event.
Yeah.
The first post-credit scene, really great scene. Really enjoyed it. Great seeing those characters again.
Mm-hmm.
BD Wong plays Wong.
Benedict Wong. BD Wong is the guy that was in
Jurassic Park,
Oz, and Jurassic Park, I think, and Mr. Robot.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. Benedict Wong is. I got them mixed up too. Yeah. Well, actually, no, not just their names, not their.
Yeah,
they clearly
they're very different human beings. Benedict Wong is such a great comedic performer, and when I first saw him, he was a much more wiry individual, and he has really matured into this character of, you know, without being smart, weight. You know, his presence, his physical presence, the weight of his voice.
He's got a great voice. Yeah,
he played Genghis Khan in Marco Polo, was it, or
was it Kubla or Genghis? I can't remember. Played Khan, one of the Khans.
He played one of the Khans. He's just got a great presence at this point, you know. And when he walks into a room, he, in conjunction with the Marvel teams and writers and whatever, they've turned what was a fairly terrible stereotype character into something really significant and heroic. You know, he's an aspirational figure.
It probably helps that they cast somebody whose actual name is Wong. That nobody could say. You just plucked like a random Asian sounding name. It's like no.
Nope.
It's
actually his name.
Legit.
And his character's
it's his name. So you can't score points on us for that one.
Do you think the rings tie to the Eternals?
I don't know. I was thinking something else.
Because they start putting out a signal.
Yeah.
And they got that gold glow that we start associating with the Eternals.
But then the Eternals are on the planet anyway. They never left. So who's it signaling?
Well, they talk
And
about
it would also suggest it's calling something from outside, not something already present, right?
Mhm.
I think they're setting up Galactus or something.
because the Eternals trailer does talk about the notion of, you know, a signal or a sign or a you know,
But it's
starting an event.
It's a very
There was enough
different-
energy to trigger.
Yeah. I know what the plot is, and I don't see how this matches up to that.
Okay.
I'll say no more there, but
Okay.
without spoiling stuff. But it could still be that. But to me, it seems like unnecessary extra steps. To me, it doesn't complicate it. It just there's better ways to connect it. I don't think that's what's going on here. That'd be my guess.
Because I guess they do have to justify. But you see, I mean, are you overthinking it? You know, because they really do want to set one film up with the next, and they do ask, like, how long has this technology been? How long did your father have this? Oh, 1,000 years. And before that, it's been here longer. It's way older. You know, like, maybe it is just as direct line as that they're trying to, you know, set you up for the next thing that's coming in a month.
But then make it more obvious. Like the fact that we're questioning what it is.
Yeah.
Whereas previously we'd be like, oh, that's, you know, at the end of Winter Soldier, we know like how that's connecting to Ultron or whatever, you know? And
But there's an element of we're not as familiar with what's coming. You know, I don't know all the lore that would tell me what's coming from an Eternals franchise. Like and also how they're reworking it, because the Mandarin's rings were gemstones stolen from Fin Fang Foom's spaceship. In the version of it I saw. That's why people thought that dragon was Fin Fang Foom, because there is that connection. And they were very much, you know, fingers rings.
or even if Fin Fang Foom was behind the gate or some version of them.
Yeah.
But no.
And they kind of touch on the, like, it was stolen from a tomb or a vessel. Like, it's hard to know what they're, you know, what way they're reinterpreting or reusing things, you know?
Yeah, I feel like the Eternals would have permission to intervene if a human was walking around with their technology, given that they haven't gone away.
I guess the question is, like, I feel like the Eternals movie is going to be dealing with one of them going rogue. You don't have to say anything there. I just based on what I've read historically, I do think that there's an element of, like, you know, these Eternals have been set on the Earth with one thing, but if you leave a machine running long enough, sometimes shit happens. What did you make of the Abomination bit?
Gotta be Thunderbolts, right? They're softening him up to make him a bit more palatable as opposed to being a straight villain. Bit of rehabilitation.
Yeah, he's working with Wong.
He's friendly with Wong.
He's friendly with Wong, yeah.
Yeah.
Wong brought him back to...
He's also going to be in She-Hulk. So I wonder... Maybe it's not Thunderbolts. Maybe She-Hulk is about her making the case for this guy... Basically the fact that, hey, okay, you know, this guy has been, I guess, you know, unfairly treated by the system because he was given experimental drugs and he went on a rampage and he can't be held entirely responsible for that. Maybe that's the case they're going to make. Like, otherwise it would be like, why is She-Hulk, you know, defending the Abomination? And it's like, well, you know, he wasn't so bad the last time we saw him. It's like, yeah, he wasn't. He was okay. You know.
I'm really curious how we're going to get to a She-Hulk this late in the game. You know, like Banner's pushing 60 by the looks of it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, his cousin that he gives a blood transfusion to end up with a She-Hulk. Like, that's the original narrative. She gets injured and an emergency blood transfusion leads to She-Hulking.
I think like an important part of her character is the fact that she's Hulk all the time.
Okay.
Are they going to change that?
But you see, she it depends which era of the comic you're reading, you know? Like, she was Hulk all the time, but then sometimes she was Jen Walters and up and down, you know? Sometimes
briefly enough, though, they've always just made her... I don't know.
I haven't read enough standalone Hulk comics, you know? Because you usually see him as an element of a team. When you're trying to read the standalone...
It's dangerously close territory to a lot of stuff that didn't work in the Netflix shows.
Yeah.
You know? And if it's going to be her that she can be Hulk when and basically if it's going to be her human most of the time, and if it's going to be a kind of a courtroom thing, that didn't go great in Jessica Jones or Daredevil, or Iron Fist, and I'd be worried about that show.
It's interesting how connected Strange, The Sanctum, Wong, Captain Marvel, the Hulk, like there's obviously ongoing work. Like Wong is, I guess, part of the Avengers, or part of the Avengers framework if he's having conference calls with them. Yeah. It's great. I was thinking about this again last night. Like, the pandemic fucked up a lot of stuff, but this year has been chock-a-block because of that. The fact that we've gone from WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man, Hawkeye's coming this year still. Absolutely chock-a-block.
No Way Home and Eternals might get moved depending on how well Shang-Chi does, though.
Yeah, I hope that, because they did announce that Bond is moving again, is he?
I'm not sure. They just released something moved again.
Oh God, what the fuck was it? I just seen a trailer and then they were like, "Oh, we're moving it again." Venom moved. Yeah.
They just released a trailer for Bond, so I don't know if that's going to move again.
Yeah,
but it might.
It's so funny.
I was really happy to see. I think I was telling you I watched Kung Fu Hustle the night before going to see this, and the landlord from Kung Fu Hustle is in. He's in this. The archer who dies, the older archer.
Yeah.
That's the landlord from Kung Fu Hustle. Okay. I was just thinking, like, when he shows up in Kung Fu Hustle, I just start laughing straight away. Like, he's just I love that film so much. He's so funny. His, like, you know, his kind of physicality is very kind of, he's so funny and kind of louche in that, and it was cool to see him in this. I was like, I was kind of surprised I even recognized him. I was like, is that I'm pretty sure that's the landlord from Kung Fu Hustle, and it is. Every line Ben Kingsley had, the audience laughed. The screening that I was at, they laughed at every line. It's my favorite thing about Iron Man 3. I'm not really a fan of that film, but he kind of saves it for me. I think his accent is a bit more pronounced in this. I feel like he
worked on the Liverpudlian.
Yeah, because he's not Liverpool in...
Well, he's doing a performance in Iron Man. He's still the man.
No, but even like when he's, you know, with the two women and stuff, I don't know. But then also he says he got sober, so yeah, maybe that's it. But it bothered me a little bit. I was like, dude, he got a laugh every line. The screening I was at, so it was kind of cool to see him. And he was in it longer than I expected to as well. It wasn't just
yeah. Do you think he stays in Talo doing his Hamlet?
Why wouldn't he? Right?
The fucking line where he was like, "How did they get those monkeys to ride those horses?" And then my mother said it's just acting, and I was like, wow, if those monkeys can act like that, imagine how good I'll be.
So you got into acting because I believed those monkeys were riding horses, but they were just acting.
That was genius. Mm-hmm. I just it was great.
He's got great comic timing and delivery. I'd like to think the shot on the bus was a little kind of an Old Boy reference, just as they go into the tunnel and he pulls his pose, and then we see the camera from the side, and he's going from the right to the left. He's just clearing guys off the bus, and it reminded me of Old Boy, which I appreciated.
There's great stuff in that bus. Like, even just the first moment he throws a punch that is just so directional. He's great as well.
He looked really good doing the stuff he did. He's got good movement. It's a good sequence. Really enjoyed it. I was, like I said, it didn't ruin it for me at the end, but like I was so impressed at so many different points.
It just got a bit pantomime with the, like, here are the toys that we can sell with the dragon scale shield and the dragon scale staff, and
here's your costume. Here's buy a Funko of this thing and this thing. Yeah. Which I'd forgive it, but it's very last minute. It felt.
Yeah. Buy your Guardian line. I think that's it.
Should we tell Kev to come back?
Nah, this went a little easier without him.